On this episode of the podcast, we talk about how to avoid bad clients with an easy vetting process. We also talk about business-changing systems to consider implementing into your own business, and also the key to success for any business. And spoiler alert here, it has a lot to do with failing. All this and more on episode 277 of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. What's up, friend? Hey, I am Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and this is the Grow Your Video Business podcast, the show for corporate and commercial filmmakers that are wanting to build a business without burning out. On this show, we cover topics like how to get more clients, how to get paid what you're worth, how to work on your business and not just in it, working smarter, not harder. If you heard last week's episode, I accidentally said working harder, not smarter. Oh man, you are not alone, my friend. I hear this time and time again inside of this community. People, when they first find the Studio Sherpas community and this podcast, they just have felt alone as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a filmmaker, and feeling alone when you're doing something that you've never done before, something that is so hard, running a business, and not just any business, but a business that, that should be profitable, and something that like you're just so passionate about, you want to be able to do for a long time. You have to charge what you're worth, and you have to get paid. And ideally, you're working with clients that value your creative and what you bring to the table, your expertise. I'm here to help guide the way. I've been doing this work for 17 years. I've built a 7-figure production business, and I've failed miserably. I failed miserably at saying that word and also at running a business, but I've also gotten some wins and had some successes. And today I currently have a small production team. We've got a massive studio in Lake Orion. It's way too big for our britches, but we do love it. It is convenient and amazing, and we're able to shoot and film there and, just do all the things. It's really fun. Lots of stuff changed when COVID happened. One thing that didn't change is we still kept our building, and I'm grateful for it. So anyway, the point of this show is to help give you hope. That may be stretching it a little bit. No, there really is. Like we're trying to build a community of people that want to lean on each other and want to believe that this is something that you can do. I feel like, I know this is cliche, but I feel like if I've managed to run a business for 17 years, you can do this too. And especially if you would heed some of the advice that I have to say, like, don't do this thing. It doesn't work. Or just be careful if you do. Like, know what you might be getting yourself into. Obviously, we all are in different places. We're in different places in our journey, and we're in geographically different places. So some things work better in other places and with different personalities and all that stuff. So anyway, we're going to get into the episode here really quick, but I wanted to mention one thing that's very exciting is that we are inviting all filmmakers to come to our studio for 3 days of learning and networking and growing together at the event that we call the Onward Summit. You can get all of the information for the Onward Summit if you go to studiosherpas.com/onward, and it is going to be an incredible time with a small group of people that are hungry for community, that are wanting to not feel alone in this journey of the incredible work that we get opportunity to do. The sessions that we're going to have are going to be powerful. They're always so good, but the best part, the biggest takeaway for most people are the hallway conversations, the getting drinks in the evening and hanging out, having coffee and breakfast in the morning, and just talking about like, so tell me about your business. Like, what are you doing? What's working? Or listen to this situation that I'm in. What would you guys recommend? That stuff is incredibly powerful. And if you're not doing that with other filmmakers, other successful video business owners, and other people that are trying to become successful, if you're not having those conversations conversations, you're missing out on some incredible growth opportunities for you. And to be able to be a part of other people's growth too is so stinking rewarding and awesome. So I invite you to consider coming. The doors are open. You can register and save your seat for the Onward Summit. It is happening June 5th through the 8th, and you can register today if you go to studiosherpas.com/onward. Let's move onward in this episode and jump in. Okay, here we go. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to this episode. Today, I have Mr. Jeff Branch, who is the founder of Workshop Media in Raleigh, North Carolina, where they provide commercial and documentary style video strategy and content to businesses that want to build better brand awareness, stand out among their competition, and generate leads. Jeff, I think I want to hire you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, man. It's a pleasure to be
Yeah,
here.
super fun to have you. I just want to start by saying, I've checked out your website, even your little bio here. I'm like, man, this is like so good. You've done a great job of positioning yourself and your brand, and I think there are some things that we should take note of as we're, wanting to do better in our businesses. You guys are, from my perspective, it looks like you're doing some things right.
Man, I appreciate that. It's a constant growth though, right? I hear that and I'm like very grateful, it's like, oh, I'm blessed. That's awesome. But from my perspective as an artist, and a business owner, it's like, I've got miles to go, right? That's good to hear.
For you, like when you say that, because I know there are going to be people that are looking at your website and like, what is this guy talking about? He's on drugs. Like he's got everything, it looks like you've got an amazing show reel. You've got, some cool clients that you've worked with. For you, what's the rub? Like, where are you like, oh man, like, I got miles to go. This is, an area that I really want to focus on and grow in. What does that look like for you?
So yeah, I think, we lead with our best foot forward online, right? That's kind of you put out the stuff you're proud of. And I think the biggest thing is process and, really, how did we get to some of that great work? How did we land some of those really great clients? And what did it take to get to that end result? And in many cases, through the course of my career and growing a business, it was tough. It was like, man, that client was terrible, or that engagement was just rough, or, so it's those kind of things, is sort of systematizing the offering, the process of onboarding, working with a client, offboarding, or sort of upgrading them to the next level. Those are the kind of things that I think we're going to take the business and just the fulfillment of working to the next level.
Yeah, that's good. What would you say is one of the best systems that you've applied to your video business?
Oh, good question. I would say, in post-production, we start that over. Post-production first comes to mind. The scope creep, the requests, ending up at like draft 8, right? When you have a 2 to 3 draft process, like we've all experienced that, and that is something that once we sort of said, this is the process, like we've done this enough to know that this works. If you get all your key stakeholders together and provide the feedback all at once, we can handle, we could be done with this in a couple of weeks. We've worked with agencies and we've had projects go on 60-second videos going for 8 months. It's like, what? It's almost like I owe you money back for how much I've worked on this thing, the offering too, right? It's something that you've spoken about, and that productization of your offering, your services. I think that's something that we've implemented, and it's been huge. The success rate, landing jobs, landing ongoing clients, retainers, has been vastly different than what it was prior to just having that sort of pull it off the shelf video, right? You got the add-ons and stuff, but it was a lot harder to land clients when you say, well, we kind of do all of it. We do everything. We have a camera, we can do everything, but it's a whole lot of work to even just get to that. And then you start looking at the cost of the video and you're like, well, how worth it was that? The time sunk, the stress,
and the creating like a new, it's like when you get a new opportunity is something that you've never done, you have to create brand new processes or just like figure out. It's like it's all figuring out versus like, oh, we know exactly how to do this kind of project, and that process is streamlined for sales. It's streamlined for the production team. It's streamlined for the editing. It's streamlined for even for the revision process, and it's a lot easier to tell the client what they're going to get versus like, well, we think you're going to get like what you want, and we think it's going to be like this, instead of like, hey, here are, 2 or 3 samples of things that we've done just like this. Put your name, your face, your logo, your footage in there, but this is kind of what you're going to be getting.
Yeah, and it's nice to sort of say, like, for that, it costs X amount of dollars. Right. We often talk about it being like, you order the steak, and this is for the meat eaters out there, I guess, but you order the steak, you want the crab on top of it, you want the sides, you want the dessert, right? Those add-ons, no matter what, you're getting steak.
Yes, I do.
Right, so
I'll take those.
You start with good, and you could get great, you can get excellent, but you're going to start with good.
Do you guys have like, as you're talking about this shift, and kind of like offering, or productizing your service, do you have a like a flagship that you've gone to market with?
So that's something I think that's kind of like yes, and it's typically like I think of what you're asking is sort of crew, production days, that kind of thing. Like, what is the sort of middle ground that they land on?
Well, like if somebody comes to you, instead of like you saying, we do all kinds of videos, if you were to go to market and say like, hey, here's what we specialize in. Obviously we can do lots of different things, but what was maybe one of the game changers for you where you started saying like, hey, let's change the conversation instead of just being open to whatever. And not that you're not open to any opportunities that come your way, but if you're going to go to market and really push something to say like, here's how we help clients, what's been a game changer for you guys?
So I think it's something that kind of opens the doors to continued work, right? So the constant goal is to sort of like, hey, us, like, we're going to show ourselves a little bit, kind of be vulnerable. Like, we're great guys. We like to work together, and girls, we like to work together and have fun while we're doing it. Enjoy the journey is one of our values, and it's not get hung up in the details, right? So as long as they know that and they like us, then they trust us. So it's sort of offering up that brand film typically to share the message and the goals, values, and vision of their business, and then kind of pepper out. It's like a campaign, right? So pepper out these either technical videos, depending on the vertical, or testimonials, or whatever it is. But sort of start with a foundation and kind of build on that with some additional video assets, and that's where we start. Sometimes they say, well, we don't need all that. We just need X, Y, and Z or whatever. But that's where we start, and that's kind of what we're always going to offer up, because more often than not, you go to a shoot, you mobilize your crew, you get everybody there, you got a lot of opportunity to collect a lot of content. And there's a lot of add-ons over time and posts that, are going to be beneficial for the client and, for revenue. So,
yeah, I feel like, that's the same, epiphany that I had not too long ago, where we, for so long, were so passionate about the brand story and, getting to the heart and soul of a brand, which I think is super awesome, and it makes the sell really easy, especially if somebody's looking at your competitor. It's like, here's our guts, and you might align with them and you might not. And if you do, like, we're going to be a great fit. And if you don't, then awesome, like, move on your way and go find somebody whose guts you do align with. But where I got hung up years and years ago, I remember when we launched our corporate brand, we had made these we started to make these packages for a brand story. And I said, I don't want to do any projects less than $10,000. So I want to start our pricing at $10,000. And over the years, that starting price has like gone up, and our average client or average video is almost $20,000. And I thought that was the only way to really grow a business, is like, well, you got to be able to charge more, and don't do these $1,000, $2,000 jobs. And I'm having a complete kind of a mind shift by creating a customer journey that says, like, a brand story is like one part of many different things that a business needs, and digging in and trying to figure out, like, what does a business need, how can I help them. Brand story is one part. So to be able to have options and to help your clients, look at, well, what do you offer? How do you help people? And it's like, well, yeah, a brand story could be cool one day, but right now we need something, and maybe it's not a $20,000 video. And so as we've looked at our own process and said, like, what are the most helpful things that we can do for businesses, we found that just offering a half day or a full day of B-roll is actually what a lot of businesses could really use, even if they're just using it on social media. They're putting the footage together for little edits. That is a great way to get in the door with clients, is to say, like, hey, here's a small offering. It's still like we're very profitable on a half day of B-roll or a full day. It's not our $10,000 or $20,000 thing. And for me to have thought and kind of almost shunned this idea of like doing these, quote unquote small jobs, where now I'm like, what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking. Shame on me.
Well, it's hindsight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to know? When you know now, right? So, man, a lot of nuggets there. We often will add that as kind of almost like a throwaway. It's valuable to everybody, but we're going to be there, right? So we know that you're going to need additional content. More often than not, we're not doing social media, quick run stuff, unless there's some strategy behind it. But we'll say, hey, we'll build a cache for you. We're going to already come out, and we don't typically give up the raw footage, So that's a great way to sort of say, here are your quick runs. We'll cut the head and tail off of it and prepare sort of a cloud folder for you in that same way, and that I think more often than not, it feels pretty good when they land, because it's already something we're doing, right? We're already shooting that B-roll. So
for me, like, as I, over the years, really even before I launched my business, I read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And that was kind of my introduction to the world of business and business books and thought leaders, and like just trying to consume, not even trying to necessarily, just like wanting to consume as much like business stuff. I didn't go to business school in college. I barely learned how to talk, even though my degree was in speech communication. Here I am stumbling over my words. But for you, like, as I'm looking again from the outside in, looking at your website, your marketing, where did you get your business acumen and the way that you talk and go to market with, like, from my perspective, like really good messaging and really great way to position yourself?
So grateful to hear you say that. No formal training. It's all field training. I am film school dropout. Classic, for no reason other than I'm just eager to get out there. I went to the Academy of Art, very awesome program. Did visual effects and animation, spent some time on green screen, that kind of stuff, and just fueled by it. And I'm always wanting the next thing. It's kind of like a gift and a curse, I guess, but I'm always just like struggling and striving for that next thing. And having kids kind of brings you back down to touch your feet on the ground with that. But so anyway, yeah, just decided to not finish and take some of the money I had sort of saved up for school, my parents' help, and I said, I'm going to buy a camera, buy some grip equipment, got some stands and some lights, and just said, I'm going to go for this thing and just try to be an artist that gets paid, not a starving artist. And it's just field training. Honestly, my father has an entrepreneurial spirit, just constantly. He's like the 40-year career guy, but he's got this fire burning, and I'm sort of like I guess like the sounding board or that sort of vessel for him, I guess. So just that inspiration, that's another one of our values. Just be inspired, continue to find inspiration. And I think the line with my mother and father is sort of introverted and extroverted, and I'm right down that middle, right? So the artist in me sort of wants to just be head down, just cranking out work and seeing what comes next. And then the extrovert is sort of like, let's have fun, let's laugh, and like, let's connect. And that's sort of that beautiful sort of melding of where business happens. I've got these dreams and goals, and because of my father sort of inspiring me early on, a couple of friends and I decided to start a skateboard company when we were in high school. I just didn't want to do what everybody did. I didn't want to go work at McDonald's and just nothing against McDonald's, whatever. I mean, that's whatever, but work is work, right?
Yes.
So you got to get a job. And it did not appeal, but I was like, okay, I got to make money. Let's do something that you love. That's when you win, is what I was always taught. If you're finding something you love to do and you get paid you're winning no matter how successful you are, or whatever. If you could wake up and do what you love, the rest will fall into place because you're not stressed.
Yeah.
You're not, that's very like roundabout
Yeah.
for your question, but I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, just failing and embracing it. That was never a thing coming up. Like failure was sort of that
Yeah.
negative
Yeah.
thing, right? You don't fail, right? But it's kind of widely accepted now
Yeah.
to fail fast, fail early, get it out of the way, put it up ugly, right? I think you said that, just put it up, get
Yeah.
it out there. And that's kind of what this is. My business workshop has taken many forms
Mm-hmm.
in my professional career. I had different company names. It was all the same offering, just me trying to do something creative for other businesses. Um, so it's this, what you see now is a sort of amalgamation of
Yeah.
my career as an adult professional.
Yeah, I love that. I think, it's definitely easier said than done when it's like go ugly early, just launch the thing.
Amen.
Failure is like widely accepted. It's really easy to say that as you're watching somebody else fail and like, hey man, like get up, like, dust your knees off. You got this. Like you can do it again. It's really easy to say it about other people to other people. But for me, myself, for you, for the person listening, it's like, it's not super easy to fail or to know that this might not work, right? This thing that I'm going to try. But the best lessons that I've learned, and it sounds like you as well, the times that things did not go the way that I planned or wanted, it's out of those experiences, and it's out of reflecting on what went well, what did I like, what am I taking away, and what am I never going to do again, or how do I like just change this a little bit, because there's something there. There's something there for me, and there's something there for others. But yeah, it's like the thing that holds us back. I just wish I could just like reach through the microphone or the headphones and just like grab everybody that's listening and say, just, I don't want to say just do it, but that just do it. It's the Nike slogan. But
Copyright infringement.
It's like you don't want to get to the end of your career. You don't want to get to the end of your life. You don't want to be in a spot where you're just like, man, I should have tried that thing, but somebody else was doing it, and I wasn't going to be as good as them or as successful as them. But there's all the cliches of like no regrets, like just go for it. What is the worst thing that could happen if you try that thing? And it's like when you really ask that question, you really start thinking like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? Like, are my family and friends going to leave me? Are they going to disown me? Are they going to be embarrassed?
I think you have a bigger problem, right? If that's
It's like your clients, the people that are like, not in your immediate circle. It's like, who cares? And there are so many other people in the world that will hire you. There's so many other opportunities that you have. But the only way that you can figure out, like, will this work? Should I try this? Is just to do the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else my parents would say, how bad do you want it? Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I really want that. That's coming from like maybe an entitled kid perspective. Right. But like, how bad do you want it? Okay. Then quit complaining and go get it, and it's just that fire. I think another thing is support group, right? If you're thinking about a production crew or admin staff or whatever, sure, that makes sense. But even friends and family, put aces in their places. And, that for me, I'm going to sink with the ship, or I'm going to sail it. I'm 100% in. Right. But having just a perfect wife that, what always goes to family and you immediately just get choked up. It's like, God,
this guy
having a wife that's like in your corner, man. I was working like agency jobs and freelancing, and I was just like, we got to do something bigger and better. And she's like, I'm in it with you. If we gotta live in a box together, we're going to do it, but just do it. And having that support group of people that say like, you got a vision, take a leap, man. If you fail, you fall flat on your face. Like, you got air in your lungs. You're doing all right. Try again. And what's really nice about just taking that plunge is that you can set all these plans and all these goals and kind of imagine how they're going to turn out and really strive for it. But until you have that gut punch, right? That's, in my experience, when it is clear as day. The moment of clarity is when you've like got kicked in the chest, right? You go, oh, okay, totally changing that. I see it clear now. Didn't need to do that. I need to do this and this and this, So.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I think, one of the biggest disservice, is that the right word? One of the worst things that we can do is just play it safe. To think like, well, what's the how can I get my business to a spot where it's running? I've got some good clients and everything's fine. Maybe I'm contemplating hiring an employee, but my life would be so much better if I just had somebody else working with me. But I also know it's going to come with a lot of complexities. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be better if I just do it myself. It's going to be quicker anyway. I'll probably make more money if I just do it myself. And so you just play it safe. You're like, nah, it's just going to add too much complexity. I think that's a good example of like where a lot of us get hung up, and it's like, well, I'm just going to play it safe. I don't want to take the risk that's a big question of like, when should I hire somebody? Like, how much money should I have in the bank? And like, how many potential jobs, things that are just lined up so that there's never like the best time to hire an employee. I mean, it's just like, there's always like something that can go wrong. There's always, it's just like, there's never a great time to get married, never the best time to have a kid, buy a house, like all that stuff. It's like, it's never. Yeah. And if you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll have missed it and you'll regret it. No regrets,
Absolutely. No regrets. That's right. That's nailed it. Cause I think what's going to show its face is like health issues, right? Mm-hmm. Or, whatever it is, like that's going to go, wow. Like now I'm starting to see a little age now, I'm starting to see a little bit of this. What have I done in the last 20 years? What have I done? I think there's two types of people though. And I think both are, in this case anyway, both are right. Yeah. It's all about perspective, right? But the risk takers and the risk averse. And I think there's a fine line where you can be calculated in your risk taking.
Yeah.
Use a little bit of that like safety, but kind of pepper it into your risk taking and sort of my sort of right-hand man, great friend, grew up with him. He works just as hard as I do. And he's risk averse. He's like, when I was first, and I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, cannonball, like, oh man, that's not even, it was 3 feet of water, man, but it's a great dynamic, so the people we add to the team kind of try to find who do I, of these two, latch on to, right? But it's a great dynamic because he's constantly tinkering and constantly thinking of ways to get to this grand idea that I might have, and kind of like the visionary implementer scenario, and I think you can do both, and that's just the calculation. It's strategy, right? If we offer strategy to our clients first, creative second, do the same thing looking back, right? And that's kind of how we've gotten here. It's just like, I want to do something. I'm just going to do it. As long as it's, there's always a baseline, right? I've got kids and mortgage, so like another business that I'm kind of incubating. Like there are things that are you can't just say, bet the house, but you got to do at least something close to that to try to see if this can go the way you want it to.
Yeah, I think a safe, a calculated risk, if you will, it's use the 80-20 principle. 80% of your work, let that be the safe. Let that be okay, I know what I'm doing here, like count on that. But then in 80%, if you look at your week, there's 5 days in a week. So 80%, it's like one day, can you take one day, or 1.5 hours of your day, and just say like, okay, I'm gonna think about something that might be crazy, or I'm gonna take some action steps towards something that's like, this might not work. Well, yeah, you're putting 100% into something that might not work. Maybe that's not the smartest thing. If you already have a business, that's if you don't have a business, like try all the things, like figure it out. If you're early on in your business, do experiment, just fail as much as you can. if you're a couple of years in and you've got an income and you're like, wow, like this thing, like, or you've got an employee and people are counting on you, or you're the sole breadwinner in your home and like you have to provide, putting 80% into like, let's try this thing might not be the best advice. So hear us now.
Yeah.
Maybe it will. I don't know. But the challenge that all of us should really consider is, can I take just a portion, 20% and try something different? Try that thing, like whatever that thing is, like stirring up inside, like, man, I really want to do narrative work, or I really want to, get into more corporate stuff, or I really want to hire an employee. Like, can you hire somebody that's only, 20% of a full-time, very part-time? They're like, let's just try this. Let's see how it goes. And the worst that happens, like you spend some money, you spend some time, and it's like, wow, no more work got done, or it wasn't the right person. Mm-hmm. Well, great. You figured out some things. You figured out that maybe your communication wasn't that good, or you figured out what kind of person you don't want working for you, so that the next time you go to hire somebody, you add, those one or two things on that list of like, hey, I need somebody who's eager or hungry. Like that's one of our core values, versus like somebody that's just like fine with the status quo. Like that's not what we want. We're not going for vanilla here. We're going for people that are just like wanting to like learn and figure it out and do whatever it takes. I need to calm down.
So you're like, oh yeah, like I'm ready for the big game, man. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And I think you're going to spend the money regardless, right? It's very, you try your best at running a business to make as much and keep as much. But the fact of the matter is you're going to spend it. So we often talk about, and I probably preach about it a little too much to my team, but non-monetary value, right? So we all got to get paid. That's just a given. We got to make money to take care of all of our responsibilities. But in what areas, if you're hungry, you never stop learning, in what ways can you gain back payment for your effort, right? Whether you're helping a client or you're doing, online courses to get a certification, something you need to do, whatever it is, how do you grow the business you're working at? We got to be fulfilled in what we do. I think that's where the success is going to be, from business owners to the people that are working for us. Got to be fulfilled. Otherwise, you should just go and work for that person you were working for. Stay at the job you're at. If that's what being a business owner is being fulfilled, is doing. We spend more time working than we do with our own families until you can flip that, right? So it has to be enjoyable. You've got to be doing work that is meaningful. And right now, to get that 20 you're talking about, is we've taken on a few pro bono jobs just to do something selfishly, to creatively flex without bounds, without the sort of the rigidity of a client engagement. But also there's some really cool stories to tell when you remove all of the tape. And that's kind of our way of sort of giving to them, like, hey, here's something really cool for you. We want to do something kind of fun and out of our element. Let's come together and see what happens. And that's another great way. I know that's kind of like growing a business and then doing work for free. That doesn't really add up. But if you think about the non-monetary value and how you can grow your business, your spirit, and this is getting deep, your spirit and how you operate, your foundation, your core, right? That is going to help you think clearly. It's going to help you make better decisions. And that's kind of where we are on that, like doing that 20%, doing something a little different.
I love that. That's a really good perspective. The idea of like the free work, in my mind, like the thing that gets me excited is like, hey, let's come up with a new product or new service or whatever. And so I'm like brainstorming, like outlining what that looks like, and so spending time there. But then also, I think what you're talking about is really good, and I think it's Google. I don't know if they still do this, but it was like, for a half a day or for a full day, like on Fridays or something like that, they would just say like, hey, like this is your time to just think, create, brainstorm, like come up with crazy ideas. And, in the world of commercial filmmaking, part of that is like, hey, let's shoot something that we wouldn't normally shoot, or let's actually shoot the thing that we really want to shoot. We keep getting hired by all these clients. It's like, we love nature, or we love the outdoors, or whatever. And none of our, all of our clients are indoors, and it's all interviews. And so we're not able to flex those muscles. So like, let's force the flex so that, as we build out our brand, if we could take off all of the things on our website that's just like talking head interviews and only put outdoor footage or only put animals or like whatever the thing is that we're so passionate and excited about. How cool would that be if you spent 6 months, 20% of 6 months, 1 day a week working toward what is that thing that we really want to do? And then your website and your show reel and your marketing messaging and all of that stuff is pointing people toward this new thing. You haven't lost any business because you're still running that at 80%. Like that's a lot. And eventually you get to that spot where that 20% becomes the thing where, well, now you're starting to get called by, outdoor brands and agencies that work with outdoor clients. And it's like, oh my gosh, then you flip the script and it's like, that becomes the 80% of what you're doing. And then it's like, man, is there anything else that we're excited about? Is there another 20%? You've created some bandwidth to be able to say like, cool, like that, the 20% now is just doing the interviews and the stuff that wasn't like as exciting for us or, but it's still helping pay the bills. And now we get to spend most of our time doing the thing that we really love doing.
Yep. Nailed it.
Drop the mic, walk away. See you. Good night.
That's it. Do I stay? No. What do I do? Do I leave too?
That's good. Jeff, tell me, you had mentioned this in your notes. You said maybe there aren't bad clients because one of the big frustrations that, so many of us have is like, our clients are terrible. Like they don't pay us enough. They don't value the creative. They're hard to work with. What's your perspective on bad clients?
I love it, man. This is top of the list from our from our team meetings. I love posing the question, like maybe they aren't a bad client, right? It's on us. Now, if it is, what is it? Now, to be clear, there are bad clients, and that is probably still on us for not vetting that in the discovery and the onboarding, right? But I think it's about education, right? That goes to that systemization of your offering, right? Creating something that you can sort of hold their hand. You don't want to sort of belittle them, right? Or whatever, but I think they're coming to you, they're paying you a premium. You're going to offer up what hooked them to begin with. Now walk them through, guide them through that. And I guarantee you, unless they're just bad people, they're going to follow your lead. They came to you, they're giving you the money, give us the thing. And I think in many cases they say, we want a video. Like, how much does that cost? And you've got to run that whole journey with them. Well, let's take it back, So I think ultimately we just if we start to get a rub, we always go back to the contract, go back to the scope. Like, what did we promise? What are we actually doing here? Are they asking something that we can do? And, are we gonna regret it because they're taking advantage, or are we adding value to say like, it's not that big of a deal? We don't want this rigid process where it's not fun to work with us. But at the same time, we also don't want to get beat up. So I think most importantly, it's like, let's create your process and really practice it, live by it, and then offer that up. And I guarantee you'll see results. And the ones that float to the top, you could say, no, thank you, finish the job and don't work with them again.
What are some of those red flags for you in the vetting process?
I think if we can, much like this, right? If we can have a conversation and if they value themselves, if they value their mission, if they value their staff, and if they value myself, my team, my company, we're good to go. We're not always going to align. That's the human condition, right? We love, we hate, we all have opinions, all that stuff, but if we align and we can have a conversation and still get the job done in a professional manner, and like you can sort of almost become you're blending that acquaintance to friendship with a client, because they value you and they value themselves and it's mutual. I think there it is. Red flags are when you feel that they're treating you poorly, right? When you feel like an inferior, you're just a vendor, right? I'm paying you the money, do the job. Like if that's how you're operating, or the hoops that they make you jump through, right? I'm going to pay you $50,000 for this video project, and you've got to do X, Y, and Z. And my foot is down. It's sort of like I'm a C level, whatever. It's like, okay, cool. You probably earned it. You worked there for 40 years or whatever. Like, sure, but we're human beings here and you have a need and I can solve this for you, but we have to be respectful, right? So if you can, I think generally speaking, if you're in a conversation with somebody, you can start to feel it. We all have that gut instinct, you know?
Yes, I think that's really good. And the longer that I've been in this work, the easier it is to identify those. I think early on, I've done a great job of convincing myself that it won't be that bad. It'll be fine. It'll work itself
Mm.
out. Like this sounds like a pretty good opportunity for us to, make some thousands of dollars. Are there any specific, like for somebody who is having that conversation of like, I'm sure it'll be fine. Any advice for them to like identify that and or what to do about that?
Man, this is speaking from years of experience, many bad meetings, many, so I think it's, those learning, those
Yeah,
failures, right? I think that it's kind you kind of need to have those to know what to do next. It's based on, how desperate are you for work
yeah,
right now? How, where are you in your growth of an entrepreneur, right? A video business owner. So it's really hard to say, but I think what the tipping point was for myself and my team was how many times we said the same thing you said, but then they start to, bless you,
thank you.
they start to stack up, right? So that one was like, okay, well, we can just handle it. How bad is it going to be? And you've got two of those, three of those, half dozen. Okay, now they're all demanding the same thing at the same time, and it's all really not worth it, Um, so I think you're just going to have to feel that out. Ultimately, you're going to have those bad experiences to know how you want to respond. But I think just question, remember non-monetary
Mm,
value, right? You got to make the money, yes, but what toll is it going
yeah,
to take on you, on your team, your personal life? How much time you got to spend away from your kids or your wife or your dogs or whatever? Is it worth it? Is that client worth it? You know,
yeah, yeah,
it's wild to even say that because that's only experience saying like I don't want to do those projects
yeah.
anymore. That beat me up, and now by association, my entire team is beat up. Sure, I got paid, but like that money went to bills, and now I don't actually get even to look at that money, right? So it's sort of like, well, why am I doing
Mhm.
it? But that's years. I mean, I've taken just like everyone else in this line of work, of just taking the jobs,
Yeah, yeah,
got to get work, get 100 clients. I would rather have 10 clients that just really want to do great work and we want to tell stories and advance their brand in whatever vertical
yeah.
they're in. Projects that take months to figure out instead of kind of, can you get out there and film it next
Yeah.
Friday? It's like, I can technically, yes, but do I really want to do
Mhm.
that? And just a line to draw. I think everybody's got to figure that out for themselves. But
Yeah, I love that the idea of like it's how desperate are you for work? Um, I think having fewer clients, fewer good clients instead of like, lots of headache clients is probably a better approach. Um, you also have to remember, when you ask people like, how do you find your clients? I'll just ask you that. Like, where does most of your work come from? Quick answer, short answer.
all, all of it. Short answer. What are you saying? I'm long
No, no,
winded.
no. Just like,
No, I know. I think all over the map, honestly. So a lot of people say like, oh, we checked out your website and we saw this type of work. It looks good for what we need. We do run kind of like just a normal Google ad placement
all right, let
monthly.
me
We've
just
gotten a lot of
stop
hits
you.
on that, but
Most of our work comes from referrals, right? It's like repeat clients or they've shared
mhm.
that. Like, is a decent percentage of your work from referrals?
No,
Oh
not
man, you're
really. And
gonna just wreck my point here. It's
only,
okay.
well, only because I've just recently am really kind of enjoying the process of the client engagement,
Yeah,
right? So I don't do the edits anymore. There's not time to do that, right? I'm kind of just trying my hardest to separate myself from the business to allow the business to grow, so looking at the client engagement and kind of seeing what that's like, and we get the Google reviews and everything's great, and using that time, that moment right there to say, connect me to anybody. If you had a great experience, it was great work. Let's do this again. Or who do and not allowing them. I think where I am having trouble is they think I'm looking for them to be the salesperson, and that often it just fizzles right there. So I'm not needing you to do the work for me. I just need you to introduce me, and that's why it's new to us. We haven't been doing the referral thing. We've gotten some jobs. I wouldn't say it ranks though.
Well, and so
the way that we get work.
Let me just speak into that a little bit more. Like what I mean is, we did work for such and such company. They're in a circle of friends. They go to association meetings. People see the video that they did and they're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. So they're like, who did it? Oh, Tell Studios did it. Oh, cool. And Ryan, super nice guy. Grant, amazing, just cool team, whatever. That, like, over the last 17 years, I mean, yes, we have a website. We do get some clients, but the majority of our clients are either coming directly from repeat work or from somehow, some way, our past clients have introduced us. This morning, I had an email from my friend Preston. Actually, it was a video message introducing me to some guys. They're like, guys, you need to connect with Ryan on this project that you've been talking about. That's how we get the majority of our work. So if the majority of my clients are people that don't value the creative, that they don't value me, the kind of people that are running in their circles are probably similar. So my whole point is that we need to be very careful with the clients that we say yes to. When you're having a discovery call with somebody, if there's a feeling of like, they think that you need them more than they need you, if there's a sense of that, try to run away, because you might make a lot of money on that job. You might face a lot of headaches. You probably aren't going to feel valued, which that's just stinks. If you have a team, they're going to feel that same way, and it stinks when you're talking about a project, and instead of like being excited about the client, about the project, you guys are just like, oh man, how quick can we get this project over so we can get rid of this client? The trap that you're getting into, along with all of that like negative energy and like just zero momentum, negative momentum, is that if they're either not going to refer you after the job, or they're going to refer you to people that are just like them. Oh yeah, we hired these guys. They were super cheap. Like, we were able to talk them down. They got the stuff done. Like, it took a while, but we finally got it. People know that when you don't pay a lot, those are some of the things that you have to overcome. So a lot of people are fine with that because they're like, well, if it's, as long as it's cheap, we can deal with some hassle. Set yourself up for great referrals and great clients by trying to identify like, I don't think this. And a good question to ask when you're on a discovery call is like, how do you see, or how do you envision success for this project? Like, talk about that a little bit and let them talk about that. And like, what kind of value, how will this video help your business? And so, like, let them talk about that. And if they're not talking in ways that are like, oh wow, like that really would be helpful, in doing that, they might not even have thought about that question. So they can start to think like, how is this thing going to help our? I don't know. We got to do it. We got a deadline. It's like, okay. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, you don't pull that little clip for social. But then if the follow-up is like, okay, if you don't do this video, how might it affect your business? Like, what difference or what impact is that going to have on your business, if any? And if they can't think of anything, then they probably don't value video. They don't value this project. If they don't value video or the project, they're probably not going to value you and what you're going to bring to the table. So it's probably not going to be the best fit. Rant over, or to be continued.
You said it. I mean, that's it. It's kind of having that lens, right? To be able to see that coming, removing yourself, especially if you're desperate for work or whatever it is, but removing yourself from that and going like, I am doing this thing. I'm offering up something that I'm putting myself into your business to make you more money or whatever the goal is. Value yourself. Don't be, be confident. Don't be arrogant, right? But you've got something to offer, whether it's the quality of your imagery or the whatever it is. I think that process and creating a seamless experience, we're in the customer service business, with the subline of like video production, right. Video marketing, right? but it's customer service, and marketing directors, C-level executives, like they all have plenty going on, and we have video going on, right? So we put a lot in our
Yeah.
world. Like, well, I'm so busy, and they do that plus 10 other things in a day. So showing them that I have a lot to offer to make your day easier,
Yeah.
to make your day better. Just hand this off. Trust us, right? It's that sort of know us, like us, trust us part of that
Yeah.
equation. But you'll see that. I mean, it's plain as day in a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
How they look at you, how they talk to you.
Absolutely. 100%.
Then it's kind of the awkward sort of like, I think we're done
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Like how do you then sort of break up with somebody?
Yep. Yeah, and that's
Before
that's
it
a
even
good
starts.
question, and that's a question a lot of people have, and so they don't do it because they're like, well, this is awkward. And I think it could be as simple as, you know what, I just don't think that we might be the best fit for you, but I do know this guy named Jeff Branch. He'd be a great fit. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, we just talked. I'm not the fit either.
But just saying, we might not be the best fit for you, but I would be happy to kind of check my database and try to find somebody that I could introduce you to, or just ending it there. I just don't think this would be a great fit for us. And you could even say like right now, won't be. And right now it's not, because they're at a spot, man. If you would have talked to me 15 years ago when I first started my business, you would have thought, man, this guy, he's overconfident. He thinks he's charming and that we should just hire him, because it's like, no, like not a good fit. I've changed a lot, thankfully. I probably still am, a little overconfident or whatever, but I'm a lot more humble than I was, 15 years ago. And so right now might not be the best time to work with this client. And so it's totally okay to say like, it's just not a good fit right now, and not to say anything else. You could just leave it at that. Oh, why? You ever get that feeling where it's just like, or it's like, we've just got a lot of stuff going on. It's just not a good time. It's just, this isn't the best time. So yeah, here's Jeff's phone number. Just kidding, man. Just kidding.
I guess they'll get let down again, right? Maybe that'll be a turning point.
But honestly, like different personalities draw different things. So what excites me about a client or whatever, they might talk to you next and realize like, oh, you know what? Actually, the way that Jeff's talking, yeah, I guess we do value this, and we are more excited about it just by the way that you position what you do, who you are, how you help people. That can make all the difference. If you're guiding people in a helpful way, to let them say like, is this what you want? Like, do you want us to hold you by the hand and take you through this process, or do you just want to tell me what you need and tell me what to do? Because we work best when people want us to kind of take them by the hand and work together on this. So if that's not you guys, like, we're probably not a good fit. Oh yeah, no, it's not. Or like, if you don't value the creative, or you don't value video like most of our clients do, then we're not going to be a good fit. And letting them say like, well, yeah, you're right. We're just looking for the best price or whatever the thing might be. Jeff, this has been a super fun conversation. I'm really curious to know like what's next for you. What are you really excited about?
Oh man. So well, one thing I will say is part of the creativity process in this, right? Is creating a grand ideas doc. That's something that it's creating your own little archive. We all kind of run into this where the client comes to you and you've got to come up with stuff on the fly, right? Or you've got a deadline to get them something. Creativity doesn't work like that, It's kind of like it needs to just be fluid. And so creating this doc has been kind of fun. If something comes up in conversation, or we have morning huddles, our team, and something's funny, or it's like, oh man, that could totally be an ad, or that could be a great way to interview somebody when we do whatever. Putting them down in that time, at that time, to stow it away for later is something that's been really nice. It's kind of gotten us out of the, okay, show up, put the camera, put the lights up, and just drill them with questions, right? That sort of autopilot way of making corporate video, right? Or documentary style video. So that's something I've been working on. I think just strategy, process, all of that is extremely important to move us to the type of, to stop saying like, that was a bad client engagement, move us into that positive workflow. So that's what's next, is just constantly trying to shape. And honestly, back to, I think, one of your first questions about the website and stuff, is just kind of really continuing to audit the business, how we look, how we present, the messaging we use, that kind of stuff's really important currently. And it's been an ongoing, I wouldn't say struggle, but just challenge is niching down, right? And right now it's just sort of, what do we do? Well, we help businesses with video, in a very basic way. What businesses? Well, all of them. And it's worked really well. And we've gotten to learn a lot of stuff from a lot of different verticals we never know anything about. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot more to gain in fulfillment, in revenue, and, X, Y, and Z, if we kind of really hone in on the types of clients and the types of work we want to do. That's kind of been my mission for a while. And that's what's next. It's what's going to continue to drive my business forward, as my team continues to drive our clients forward.
Love that. That's really good. How can people check out your work and all the cool stuff that you guys have going on?
Our website's workshopmedia.co. Domains are expensive. CO is what we can get now. Workshopmedia.co and at workshopmedia.co on social. That's it. Just kind of check us out, and please drop us a line. Let us know we could do better. Let us know if we can help you out.
I love it. That's great. Really, really good stuff. Excited for you. Excited for all of your success. How do you want to encourage, inspire us? How do you want to leave us today, Jeff?
Just be grateful. Count your blessings. I know it's like one of those things you just say, and what does it even mean? But really, like, even in your worst time, there's greatness around you. So recognizing it and using that to build forward, whether it's for your family, your friends, your business, just make the world a better place with the skills you have.
I love that. So good. Thanks, man. Really, really appreciate our time together today.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Take care.
Hey, if you're serious about running a smart business, running a business where you feel like and seem like you've got at least some stuff together, I want to give you a gift. It's called the Ascend Method. If you haven't downloaded this cheat sheet that I use in our discovery calls, when we have an initial call with a client, we use this thing called the Ascend Method. And I want you to have this cheat sheet. Plus, I've got a little video walkthrough of how we use this. This is a powerful tool, and one of the most powerful tools that I've given away in my years of running Studio Sherpas to people like you who just want to feel confident in meetings with CEOs and people that, seem super important and can be kind of intimidating. And not only will it give you confidence, but when you have confidence, it's going to give your clients and potential clients confidence in you and your ability to deliver and your ability to do what they need you to do, which means that you can actually charge more than what you're used to charging. Because when people believe that they're hiring an expert or a professional, they're willing to pay for that. So I want you to have this, the Ascend Method. You can download it if you go to studiosherpas.com/ascend. And along with that, not related to that at all, I guess. If you want access to the show notes from this episode, you can go to a different website. It's studiosherpas.com/277 and get all of the notes and the links and the things that we talked about in today's episode. I would love to hear what you think about this show or this particular episode. If you want to leave a review on the iTunes podcast app, oh my gosh, what am I even saying? Please, I welcome you to do that. And if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, you can leave a comment and let me know what's your big takeaway. What might you change, or how are you thinking differently because of the thing that you heard on this episode, or maybe not something that you heard, but as you're listening, something else popped in your head, and you said, you know what, I've got to do this other thing. So would love to hear from you regardless, and would obviously love a review from you. Especially if it's a 5-star. I do have a review I'm going to read to you. This review comes from Jakob, and Jakob says, "Great podcast!" ! If you have the desire to grow your video business, then this is the podcast for you. You'll get actionable advice to grow your own video business to the next level. Jakob, thank you so much for your awesome review. 5 stars. Give this guy 5 stars. That's the sound of 5 stars, if you didn't know that. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. Email me if you need anything, ryan@studiosherpas.com, or follow us on Instagram and the other socials at Grow Your Video Business or at Studio Sherpas. That's all I have for now, my friend. I will see you on next week's episode. Until then, onward. Let's go. See ya.